The story begins in a street in Belfast, Northern Ireland, in 1974, where years of civil unrest have transformed into an armed conflict. As two gangsters meet in a local bar, two criminals, Dwarian and Curtis, park their car outside the bar and signal their friends, Conan and Seamus, to come forward. Conan and Seamus park outside as well and set a timer bomb before leaving the car. They start to move toward Dwarian and Curtis. However, Dwarian notices three kids and their mother near the bomb. She shouts at them to run away, but before the kids or their mother can do anything, the bomb explodes. Conan and Seamus rush towards Dwarian's car and the group escapes from there. Then they change their car and set their own on fire. The group then enters Glencomesill in Donegal and breaks the signboard on the way. The next morning, Finbar Murphy, a former World War II soldier, skilled shotgunner, and professional hitman, is seen shooting by the coast with his friend Vinny, a police captain. On their way back, the duo notices the broken signboard and thinks about the color of the car that might have broken it. Upon reaching home, Murphy slightly flirts with his neighbor Rita and then goes towards his car. He finds a leaf on the windshield, which indicates that he has been assigned a task. He gets into his car and finds an envelope containing the picture of his target. He flips the picture and finds the name of the target to be Bart McGuinness. Afterward, he drives towards the bar where he would find Bart and hear about the blast in Belfast through the radio. Upon entering the bar, he sits at the corner pretending to read a book, and Bart comes to the stage to sing. Later, he is found driving toward a dark forest and spots Kevin, a coworker, standing beside his car. He stops his car after a while and gets his shotgun ready before opening the trunk where a tied-up Bart is being held. Bart comes out of the trunk and Murphy asks him to walk into the forest while he follows him. He then makes Bart dig a grave for himself, and once done, Murphy asks him to say his last words. Bart looks around and realizes that all the small plants indicate bodies of dead people lying underneath. He tells Murphy that he has been a bad person in the past, but has tried to change for the better. He advises Murphy to do some good before he ends up just like Bart, and the timer ticks off, making Murphy reluctantly shoot him to death.
And lay me down.
He then hides his body in the grave and plants a small plant on top. Murphy then goes to meet his boss, Robert, the person who assigns him the tasks. Roberts gives him money and Murphy tells him that he won't be working in the future for him. He suggests Robert assign all future tasks to Kevin and leaves. Upon reaching home, he hides his money and puts his shotgun aside, thinking he is done with the job. He then starts gardening, and his neighbor Rita gives him gardening tips over lunch. Rita asks him about his wife and Murphy tells her that he met his wife, Margaret, in a bookstore for the first time. Later that day, he goes to the bridge and finds Moya there, who is the daughter of a local bartender, Sinead. As Moya is busy catching the fish, Murphy accidentally throws her fruit basket into the water, and as he reaches forward to apologize, he notices bruises on her neck. Later that night, Murphy goes to the bar where he meets Vinny and his wife and buys them a drink. He also greets a black singer and then tells Sinead about the fruit basket that he accidentally threw into the water. He notices her freezing up for a moment and apologizes, saying that he would make it up to them. He then goes out for a smoke and notices Moya trying to run away. He stops her and walks her to her home, but as they reach near, Moya asks him to leave. He says that he will drop her off at the door, and suddenly Curtis comes out of the house with a cigarette in his mouth. It turns out that he is Moya's uncle and, through his personality, Murphy realizes that the bruises on Moya are definitely from him. Moya hands Curtis the bag of food while Murphy leaves and Curtis goes to a hut near his home. He enters inside and gives food to his gang members, who get angry over the limited food supply. The next morning, Murphy gives a basket of food to Sinead and finds Moya sitting far away. He goes near her and sees her holding a bullet while there is a bruise on her arm. Murphy realizes that Curtis has been sexually abusing her and goes to meet Robert. He shows the bullet to Robert and asks for help to kill Curtis. However, Robert refuses to help since he fears that Curtis might be involved with some gang and asks him to go to the police. Murphy tells him that Moya won't tell anyone about the abuse due to the fear, but Robert still refuses to help. Murphy then goes to the beach and finds Curtis swimming there. He kidnaps him and, as he opens the trunk near the forest, Curtis slashes him with a knife. As Curtis tries to run away, Murphy shoots him in the leg, making him fall to the ground. He tries to shoot again, but misfires, and as Curtis is about to attack him, Kevin shoots Curtis in the head. Later, Kevin digs a grave for Curtis and keeps on joking about his previous victims. After burying Curtis, they go for drinks and Kevin again starts to shame his victims, making Murphy punch him in anger. Murphy asks him to have some dignity for the people he has killed and leaves the bar. The next morning, Dwarian waits for Curtis but he doesn't arrive, while Conan and Seamus pressurize her to think about her next step as their names have come in the newspaper with connection to the bombing. Dwarian decides to find her brother and gets Curtis's gun from his bag only to notice that a bullet is missing. She goes to Sinead and threatens her, but Sinead tells her that she knows nothing about him, adding that he might have drowned since he went swimming. This makes Dwarian dig for information about the local criminals and find out about Robert. She stops her car outside his office with Conan and Seamus, making Robert fumble and drop the bullet Murphy gave him to the floor. Dwarian enters inside asking about Curtis, but Robert makes her believe that he knows nothing until she notices something under her feet. Upon checking, she finds it to be the bullet, and as she puts it into her revolver, she realizes that Robert knows something, otherwise there is no chance of it being there. Robert tells her that Murphy gave it to him and adds that he has no idea where he lives.
Grateful if you would get them.
Afterward, Dwarian shoots him dead and steals some money from his office only to be interrupted by Robert's mother. Dwarian asks her to stay out, accepts that she killed him but adds that she won't kill her if she goes back to her room. Robert's mother compiles and Dwarian runs away with her gang. Kevin arrives at Murphy's place to inform him about Robert and they rush towards his home. Robert's mother tells them that a woman murdered Robert. They burn some evidence and then ask Robert's mother to call the police. On the other hand, the gang stops at a shop and Seamus, pretending to be Murphy's nephew, asks the way to his house. As he exits the shop, Vinny enters, and the shopkeeper tells him that the guy is asking about Murphy. The gang reaches Murphy's place and starts searching it, while Murphy and Kevin return only to notice that a light is on in his house. They hide in the woods and as the morning approaches, the gang realizes that Murphy knows they are in. Dwarian starts to break the windows of Murphy's car, making Rita come out, and Dwarian asks her to tell Murphy that he has done an unforgivable task. She then knocks out Rita and the gang leaves while Kevin and Murphy come to help Rita into the house. They leave for Kevin's place and on their way, Murphy calls a doctor for Rita. The duo then reaches Kevin's home, and it turns out that Kevin wants to be a musician one day and has only killed people for easy money. Murphy goes to buy some newspapers and finds pictures of Dwarian, Conan, and Seamus in it. He then meets Vinny and Vinny talks to him about Robert's murder and asks about his nephew. The two then get into the car and Vinny drops Murphy to his place. Murphy then goes to check the place where Curtis was staying and finds evidence of the gang making bombs. On the other hand, the gang waits for Murphy while watching a rugby match. Murphy spots them standing and waits by the washroom, thinking that Dwarian might come there. Dwarian appears from behind and calls his name, making him turn around. She takes out her gun and asks about the person who asked Murphy to kill Curtis. Murphy tells her that they are even since she murdered Robert. However, she says that Curtis was her brother and she will avenge his death. She then asks him to meet her at the local bar, and if he fails to appear, then she will explode the bar, killing everyone inside. Later, Murphy goes to meet Moya and gives her a cat, thinking that he might not return from the encounter with Dwarian alive. He then meets Kevin and gives him a briefcase with letters and money for Robert's mother and asks Kevin to use the rest. Kevin insists on helping him, but Murphy tells him that he has prepared himself. It is his war, so Kevin should leave to fulfill his dream of being a musician. He asks Kevin to never pick up a gun again and Kevin drives off. Murphy goes inside the bar and looks at the people around him. He sits with Vinny, who tells him that he knows Murphy has no nephew and asks about Murphy's real job. Murphy tells him that he wouldn't want to know and notices Moya getting inside the bar. He sends her out and comes back, only to stand beside Dwarian. On the other hand, Vinny goes out to smoke and realizes that Seamus is sitting in the same car that ruined the signboard. He goes back inside and sits at a distance from Conan, who has a briefcase with a bomb in it. As Dwarian asks Murphy about the man who ordered the hit, Kevin appears from behind, taking the blame. A fight ensues as she shoots Kevin in the gut and Vinny rushes to get the briefcase. He goes out only to find a bomb in it, but before he can do anything, Seamus comes and hits Vinny, making him fall to the ground. As the bar starts to empty, Seamus picks up the bomb from the briefcase and just when he is about to throw it inside, Murphy shoots him in the arm. The bomb falls at the entrance and blows off, killing Seamus while everyone else survives. Murphy then watches Kevin die as Dwarian shoots him in the head and Conan attacks him. Murphy kills Conan and goes out of the bar where Dwarian, who has earlier been shot by Kevin amidst the chaos, tries to shoot Murphy but misfires, and the bullets in her revolver finish. She walks towards the church and Murphy follows behind with his shotgun. They both come face to face and Murphy realizes that she is going to succumb to her wounds, so he decides not to shoot her and waits for her to die.
My brother. He's all alone.
I'll make sure you join him.
The next morning, Murphy leaves the town after apologizing to Rita for the trouble he caused. Meanwhile, Vinny gets the town's signboard fixed and finds a gift from Murphy in his car.